let's come back to Kenya. She talked of so many things. She said something about the Commission's leadership, that the chairman of the Commission is ineffective. Do you also agree with this?
Well, you know, the minute Odinga says he has not found the Commission to be credible and that he will not participate in the election, all of us should know, the whole world knows that that election is already jeopardized. It cannot happen. If it happens, nobody will believe the results. And the president is not being truthful by appealing to God and praying for asking the nation to pray when everything depends on what he does. It depends on his own sincerity and credibility. And if your opponent, who came close to defeating you, is your rival, says he's not participating, then you are participating on your own, then who are you playing with?
So what should
it's
he
like
do?
one team playing against itself.
Should he appease Raila Odinga? What would you suggest?
Well, what they should do is this thing should be held back. They should go to the Supreme Court, as some specialists have suggested, and have all this discussed. There has to be a debate. There has to be a restructuring of the electoral process. Otherwise, nothing will happen. If you go on with this election and Kenyatta wins again, it's going to be a farce. Nobody's going to believe it in Kenya or outside of Kenya. So we have to go back and reorganize. This is an opportunity. You see, African democracy is growing because people are asking questions. What this lady has done is noble. It is a noble exercise in democracy. She has said this thing is not going to be fair from what she has seen, and she has opted out of the system. You remember what happened in our own elections in 2015. If President Jonathan had not been a very fair-minded person, and if he had insisted that, you know, he would have his way, he would have fired Jega. And if he fired Jega, the opposition was already saying that if this election is rigged, which means if Jega is fired, and the PDP is saying Jega is not credible because he was appointed and he seems to be working for the opposition. So you must not politicize that office. If you do, nobody will regard it as credible. So essentially, the former president in Nigeria's case did a noble thing and then congratulated. Yes, because there would have been war. There would have been civil war in Nigeria. Do you think Raila Odinga shouldn't have perhaps, you know, decided to leave the race, for example? Well, he has left the race, but he has only left the race because he argues that the process is not credible. So we need to go back to the drawing board, talk about this issue, address his concerns, and then before we proceed. But to say you are going to have elections when the whole process of conducting the election is not credible, then the president is not doing himself a favor. So finally, if the runoff takes place 26th of October, would it be the people's choice? How can it be the people's choice when there's only one contender? Well, we are going back. There's a minor we hear. Oh, please. That's a joke. That's a big joke. The only person contending in Kenya election is Kenyatta. So long as Odinga is not there, there cannot be any credible or believable election. Thank you so much, Dr. Adetokunbo, for joining us on Network Africa. Thanks for having me. Let's go over now to Italy, where Pope Francis today publicly condemned the recent attack in Somalia. He denounced the attack while speaking to thousands of pilgrims gathered in St. Peter's Square at the Vatican. The Pope said the attack deserves the most severe condemnation because it targeted an already strained population. On Saturday, October the 14th, a twin bomb explosion killed more than 300 people and wounded at least 400 in what is believed to be Somalia's deadliest attack in a decade. The health ministry in Madagascar says the plague outbreak in the country has now killed 74 people, with 805 cases recorded in more than 2 months. As at 10 days ago, the death toll stood at 33, with 230 people infected. The World Health Organization says there are normally about 400 cases of plague every year on the Indian Ocean island, but the current outbreak is unusual as it has affected urban areas including the capital, Antananarivo. Well, according to local media, passengers at the city's transport hubs are subject to medical inspections and infected areas have been fumigated to kill fleas.
The least deadly bubonic plague, which is more common in the island, is often spread by rodents fleeing forest fires. Sierra Leone has launched its first ever oral cholera vaccination campaign targeting about 500,000 people as thousands risk infection in emergency shelters and informal settlements. With limited access to clean water and sanitation, the country is administering the vaccine after suffering one of Africa's worst mudslides in August. Health workers are reaching residents in densely populated settlements in a door-to-door campaign administering the cholera vaccines. According to the World Health Organization, more than 1 million doses of the oral vaccine will be administered. Sierra Leone's worst recorded cholera outbreak in 2012 killed almost 400 people and infected more than 25,000 others.
Vulnerable communities are a slum area of which people actually attract the disease at all times. So that is why today we are here back in the community just to issue the drugs to our people, because the previous one has just finished and this is the round 2 that we are taking on to them again today. And we are raising information to them that, and it's an awareness that they should always receive the medicine in a good faith of which we help them prevent the cholera attack of itself.
The Minister of Health recognized this as a very important intervention, as an added protective measure to people using sanitation measures, but also promoting good hygiene practices as a way of preventing the risks of getting cholera in a country that already has a history of having had severe outbreaks.
South African police authorities say 1 man has been killed and 3 others injured after a shooting at the country's busy Cape Town International Airport. Authorities further stated that 1 man by the name Jerome Donkey Boyson was shot 4 times in what is believed to be gang-related. Police spokesman says that this is the 3rd time that Mr. Boyson, who is now in hospital, has been targeted. They further stated that operations at the airport in Cape Town continues and had not been affected by the early morning shooting. Still to come on the program, Tunisia smugglers offer new routes to migrants from Africa to Europe. Do join us again.